As I was saying, now this is part two. Phone was interrupted. Now, once a person they secure an indictment, that doesn't mean that you are guilty. You have many hearings that you need to go through, and if you are in possession, like I was saying, if a person found a weapon on you and they had no reason to believe that a crime was in the process of being committed, was committed, or is about to be committed, everything that happens after this illegal search is fruits of a poisonous tree. That's why everything has to be dismissed once it is suppressed. So say you get caught with I might have a gun in my pocket, but the search or the seizure of my person was illegal and they find the gun. It doesn't matter about the gun. The gun is automatically going to be suppressed now because anything they can't do a unlawful stop. They can't violate the law to try to make a law because they had a hunch or they had a belief that they can't violate my laws because they had a hunch that I had a gun in my pocket. So everything after me being found with this, after this search, has to be dismissed because the search was illegal. It was illegal search and seizure, so they violated the Constitution. So now my rights to the Constitution was violated. So everything after this illegal search is fruits of a poisonous tree. So everything must be suppressed. Now, for some reason, say if everything wasn't suppressed and you have to go to trial, or you know you have statements to somebody and you have a co-defendant. Now, when you have a co-defendant telling on you, they had this rule called, it used to be called the a co-defendant. When you had a co-defendant telling you that they had to have corroborating evidence. Now, corroborating evidence is evidence that's corroborating this co-defendant's testimony. Now they have something. It's very similar, but it's they're trying to use trickery with their words called harmonizing of the evidence. So now they want to have harmonizing evidence. So if you have a co-defendant that's telling on you, they don't need it. They say that they don't need corroborating evidence anymore. All they need is harmonizing evidence. So it would be like a situation where, let's say, me and an individual burglarized the house or some shit, and they didn't have any other evidence except this guy's testimony, and this is my co-defendant. That's not enough to convict me. They gotta have harmonized evidence. Now, if they had a person that seen we was in a Pacific vehicle and he said that we was in a blue Jeep or something, and they had a witness or something that didn't know who we were, but they said they seen a blue Jeep pull up and they seen two individuals, that might be enough to be harmonized evidence to get you convicted at trial. Because when you go to trial in a state, a district attorney has to prove you're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. When you go to trial in the feds, it's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a preponderance of the evidence. What preponderance of the evidence mean is more likely than not, 51%. So they don't even have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, 51%. Now when you in the state, they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. What else? Okay. Now I want to talk about some of the felonies. Now, as violent felons, as a first-time violent felon, when you're dealing with some things like gun charges, burglaries, robberies, a robbery in the first degree is a B violent felony. As a first-time offense, you can do 5 to 25 years as a first time for a robbery in the first degree. If you're a second-time felon, a robbery in the first degree, or any B felony period, is 10 to 25 years. Attempt murder. These is all charged as B felonies. Attempt murder, violent B felonies. Attempt murder, robbery in the first degree. I think burglary in the first degree, which would be like home invasion. These are all things as a first-time felon that you can do anywhere from 5 to 25 years. As a second-time felon, to be 10 to 25. As a third-time felon, I believe it's about 16 to 25 to life. I know for a gun charge, which is a C felony, the mandatory minimum sentence for C felonies is 3.5 to 15 years as the first time. Your minimum would be 3.5 years. I'm talking about for criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree. I'm not talking about a motherfucker who copped out to attempt possession, which is a D felony. You can get anywhere from 2 to 7. So I got caught with it. You didn't get charged with criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree because the minimum would have been 3.5 to 15. And if you ain't get that, then your ass told. Second time felon is 7 to 15. C violent felony. Third time is 16 to 25 to life as a persistent felon. The second time is called a predicate felon. The third time is called a persistent felon. For a D felony, your minimum as a first time D violent felony would be anywhere from 2 to 7. Your minimum is 2 years and the max is 7. I think as a second time violent felon, I think it's 3.5 to 7. I'm not sure, but I think it's 3.5. And as a third time, I think it's about. I think it's persistent. So you have to get life, whatever it is, you got to get life on the back. With the drug laws is way different. You can't get life. They done passed a law with the Rockefeller law that they don't even give people life anymore. So, it's all types of programs and work release and things you can get. You can get if you don't have a violent felony as a previous violent felony or a previous felony, you can get definite sentences. If you don't have a previous be violent or higher felony and you catch a drug case and you still are eligible for definite sentences in the county, which indefinite sentence is a year or less in the county. So with drug, I guess they like to promote drugs because you can get work release, shot camp, all types of programs. So as a non-violent felon, you might see people, do all types of different programs and things. So this is just basic knowledge that I think that I wanted to teach that people should know. So if they do get themselves caught up, they can have a little basic understanding of what's going on. And let me just rephrase what the judge's role is to be fair, detached, and impartial. District attorney role is he has a dual role. He has a dual role not to just seek indictments and convictions on a person, but to see that justice is served regardless of what side, if it's for the people or for the individual. So he's supposed to see that justice is served. And as long as you know these things and you can know what you are facing, the mandatory minimums and the sentences, and you understand that you are not supposed to be searched unless they have a reason. They have probable cause, and probable cause. For probable cause to be raised, it have to be a reasonable suspicion, and for that to be happen, they have to have reach a certain level of intrusion that a crime has been committed, is in the process of being committed, or was committed. Now, King Gates, I done did 5.5 years. I did 5 years straight, and I did 3 in the box, and all I did was study Black history and study law. And I go to school for law right now, and I'm going to be a lawyer. So I know and I understand what's going on. I've been studying my history, and I understand, that it's always good to have the knowledge of, what you're doing. I'm not advocating anybody to be in the streets, but if you is going to be in the streets, know what the fuck is going on and know what you're facing. I was there before, and I knew right off the rip if I was going to be able to beat the child. I can analyze my cases. I done help, lots of people beat their cases, and, I done beat a lot of my charges and beat my cases. Now I'm trying to, just give back to the youth and get this movement pushing. Like I said, we got a 7-point program, which is to uplift the minds of the youth, create economic developments within our community, to promote peace, unity, and prosperity within the Black community, to expose all of America's racist, oppressive, capitalist systems, and to help reform, to get over the monolith subconscious fear of the white man. I believe these our main objective goal is like I always say would be complete liberation and freedom for Blacks, which is actually a subjective goal because we're gonna have to use many different strategies and strategics. So just continue to support your own people, and I say power to the youth. It's way easier to build strong children than to rebuild broken men. Believe that. We all we got. Black Royal Family, man. Power to the people. Stand up. King X.